The emergency session of the Cosmic Council convened in the massive crystal chamber that floated in the void between galaxies. Representatives from 47 different species had gathered, their various forms creating a bizarre tapestry of alien life. The Zephyrians with their crystalline bodies caught the chamber's light and threw it in rainbow patterns across the walls. The Vorthak delegation sat in their environmental suits, their methane-breathing forms hidden behind dark visors. The insectoid Clixians clicked their mandibles nervously as they waited for the proceedings to begin. At the center of the chamber, High Chancellor Vextar of the Hegemony raised his 4 arms for silence. His reptilian features were grave as he addressed the assembly. The war with humanity had been raging for 3 standard cycles, and every species present had felt its devastating effects. Fellow council members, Vextar's voice echoed through the chamber's translation systems. We stand at a crossroads. The human resistance has proven far more tenacious than our initial projections suggested. A murmur of agreement rippled through the assembled delegates. The war had begun as what the hegemony called a minor pacification operation. Earth's location made it strategically valuable, sitting at the junction of 3 major hyperspace routes. The humans were supposed to be a primitive species, barely having achieved faster-than-light travel. Their surrender was expected within days of the first orbital bombardment. Instead, 3 years later, the Cosmic Council found itself locked in a grinding conflict that had already cost them 12 worlds and countless ships. Commander Threx of the Mantari battle fleet stood, his insect-like head tilting as he spoke. The humans have a saying, Chancellor. Death before dishonor. They mean it literally. Our psychological warfare units report that human civilians will fight to the death rather than surrender, even when facing impossible odds. Their military is even worse, added General Korath, whose species had evolved from apex predators. Every human soldier we capture refuses interrogation. They prefer death to cooperation. Our mind readers cannot penetrate their mental defenses, and our torture specialists report that humans can endure pain levels that would kill most species. Admiral Nexus, representing the aquatic tidal empire, spoke from his liquid-filled chamber. My fleets have engaged human vessels in 17 major battles. Even when outnumbered 10-1, they refuse to retreat. They ram their ships into ours when their weapons fail. Yesterday, a single human frigate destroyed one of my dreadnoughts by overloading its reactor and ramming us at the moment of explosion. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The Cosmic Council had never encountered a species quite like humanity. Most civilizations, when faced with overwhelming force, would negotiate or surrender. Humans seem to have a genetic inability to quit fighting. There is another matter, Vextar continued, his voice dropping lower. The prisoner exchange. We captured their operative designated as the Ghost 3 standard days ago. The name sent a chill through the assembly. Every delegate knew of the human sniper who had single-handedly held up the hegemony advance on the Kepler 442 system for 8 months. Intelligence reports suggested this one human had eliminated over 300 hegemony officers and destroyed dozens of command centers. The psychological impact of his actions had been even more devastating than the physical casualties. How many of our personnel died in his capture? Asked Delegate Yorthak of the Crystalline Dominion. 47, Vextar replied grimly. An entire special operations unit. He was only taken because he ran out of ammunition and his position was finally overrun. Even then, he killed 6 more with hand-to-hand combat before being subdued. Representative Quillex of the Silicon Syndicate leaned forward, her metallic voice ringing through the chamber. What is the human's offer for his return? Complete withdrawal from the Outer Rim territories, Vextar answered. They offer to cede 12 star systems in exchange for this one individual. The chamber erupted in discussion. 12 star systems represented trillions of resources and billions of potential subjects for the hegemony. The strategic value was immense. This presents us with an opportunity, Vextar continued once the noise died down. Human psychology suggests they value individual lives far beyond logical calculation. We can use this. Elder Morthak of the Ancient Collective, one of the oldest beings in the galaxy, spoke in his wheezing voice. "What do you propose, Chancellor?" "We return their sniper, but not unchanged. Our biological warfare division has developed something they call the pacification virus. It eliminates aggressive tendencies and makes the subject completely docile. We infect their operative with this virus before returning him. When he spreads it among their population, the human resistance will crumble from within." The proposal was brilliant in its simplicity. Humans clearly valued this individual enough to trade significant territory for his return. Once infected and returned to their forces, he would become a biological weapon against his own species. The virus was undetectable by human medical technology and would spread through simple contact. "The virus is designed to target human neural pathways specifically," explained Dr. Vortex, the hegemony's chief biological warfare specialist. "Within weeks of infection, subjects become incapable of violent thought or action. They retain their intelligence and skills but lose all capacity for aggression or resistance." Delegate Zarion of the Voidwalkers raised a concern. "What if the humans detect the infection before it spreads?" "Impossible," Dr. Vortex replied confidently. "The virus remains completely dormant for exactly 72 standard hours after infection. During this period, there are no symptoms whatsoever. The subject appears completely normal. Only after the dormancy period ends do the behavioral changes begin to manifest." The vote was called, and the result was unanimous. The Cosmic Council would return the human sniper, but as a carrier of their biological weapon. It seemed like the perfect solution to end a costly war. In the detention block of the Hegemony flagship, Marcus Chen hung suspended in an energy containment field. The human they called the Ghost was a compact man in his early 30s, with dark hair and intense brown eyes. Despite being held prisoner for 3 days, despite the interrogation attempts and the obvious pain from his capture wounds, his gaze remained defiant. The prison guards, members of various hegemony species, had learned to avoid looking directly at him. There was something unnerving about those human eyes, something that suggested he was still fighting even while helpless. "Feed him," Commander Grix ordered the guards. "The exchange happens tomorrow. The hegemony wants him healthy enough to walk to the transfer point." What the guards didn't know was that the food contained the dormant pacification virus. Dr. Vortex had personally prepared the dose, calculating the exact amount needed to ensure infection while remaining undetectable. The virus was engineered to be tasteless and odorless, completely invisible to human senses. Marcus ate the meal without suspicion. He had been given similar food for 3 days, and his training had taught him to maintain his strength whenever possible. He chewed methodically, his mind already working on escape plans for when the exchange occurred. The hegemony clearly wanted something, or they would have simply executed him. Unknown to Marcus, microscopic viral particles were already beginning to infiltrate his bloodstream. The virus was a masterwork of biological engineering, designed to be absolutely undetectable during its dormancy period. His immune system registered no threat. His enhanced human metabolism, pushed to peak efficiency by years of military conditioning, actually helped the virus spread through his system more quickly. In 72 hours, according to every hegemony simulation, Marcus Chen would become a docile, non-violent version of himself. He would retain his legendary marksmanship skills and tactical knowledge, but he would be psychologically incapable of using them against any living being. When the humans welcomed back their hero, they would unknowingly embrace the instrument of their own pacification. The next morning, the prisoner exchange proceeded according to plan. A small hegemony escort ship met a human diplomatic vessel at the neutral zone boundary. Marcus was transferred in standard prisoner restraints, looking appropriately worn from his captivity, but showing no signs of the viral infection. Captain Sarah Mitchell, commanding the human rescue ship, personally oversaw the exchange. She had served with Marcus during the defense of New Tokyo and knew him well enough to recognize that he appeared to be in good health despite his ordeal. "Good to have you back, Ghost," she said as the restraints were removed. Marcus nodded grimly. "They're planning something, Sarah. This whole exchange feels wrong. The hegemony doesn't trade territory for individuals. Intel thinks they're trying to demoralize us by showing they can capture our best operators," Mitchell replied. "Either way, Command wants you back at headquarters for debriefing immediately." As their ship jumped into hyperspace, heading for the human command center on Sanctuary Prime, neither officer suspected that they were carrying the hegemony's most devastating weapon. The pacification virus remained completely dormant in Marcus's system, exactly as designed. High Chancellor Vextar watched the exchange through long-range sensors, satisfaction evident in his reptilian features. Phase 1 of the plan was complete. In less than 3 days, the legendary human sniper would begin his transformation into the perfect double agent. Within weeks, the virus would spread throughout the human military command structure. Within months, the war would be over. What the Cosmic Council had failed to understand, however, was the true nature of what they had just unleashed. They saw Marcus Chen as a single human operative, valuable to his species, but ultimately just one individual among billions. They had no concept of what he truly represented. Marcus Chen was not just a sniper. He was the product of humanity's greatest military tradition, trained in arts of war that stretched back to the earliest days of human civilization. His skills had been honed not just in 3 years of fighting against alien invaders, but in a lifetime of preparation for exactly this kind of conflict. More importantly, he was returning to a species that had spent those same 3 years learning how to fight beings with superior technology and numbers. The humans had developed tactics, strategies, and weapons specifically designed to level the playing field against alien invaders. They had become something the Cosmic Council had never encountered before, a species that got stronger and more dangerous the longer a war continued. The hegemony's perfect biological weapon was about to meet humanity's perfect warrior culture. And in 72 hours, the Cosmic Council would discover that they had made the greatest mistake in galactic history. Sanctuary Prime buzzed with activity as the rescue ship carrying Marcus Chen approached the orbital defense platform. The human stronghold had been built inside a hollowed-out asteroid, its surface bristling with weapons and sensor arrays. Deep within its rocky shell, the command center of the human resistance coordinated operations across dozens of star systems. Admiral Rebecca Stone waited in the docking bay as Marcus disembarked. The 50-year-old veteran had been fighting aliens since the war's first day, and her weathered face bore the scars of countless battles. Behind her stood a collection of humanity's finest officers, each one eager to debrief the legendary sniper whose exploits had become the stuff of legend. "Welcome home, Marcus," Admiral Stone said, gripping his hand firmly. "The whole fleet's been talking about your rescue. Command wants a full debrief in 1 hour." Marcus nodded, noting the genuine relief in the faces around him. These people had risked valuable ships and personnel to bring him back. The weight of their trust settled on his shoulders, mixing with a strange unease he couldn't quite identify. Something about his captivity felt incomplete, as if the hegemony had been planning more than a simple prisoner exchange. "Admiral, they let me go too easily," Marcus said as they walked through the station's corridors. 3 years of war, and suddenly they're willing to trade 12 star systems for one operative. It doesn't make sense. "Intelligence thinks it's a psychological operation," replied Colonel James Park, the station's tactical officer. "They want to demonstrate that they can capture our best and then release them when it suits their purposes. Classic intimidation tactics." The group entered the command center, a vast chamber lined with holographic displays showing the current state of the war. Red zones marked hegemony-controlled territory, blue indicated human holdings, and contested areas flickered between colors as battles raged. The map painted a grim picture. Humanity controlled perhaps 15% of the territory they had held at the war's beginning. Dr. Elena Vasquez, the station's chief medical officer, approached with a medical scanner. "Standard post-capture protocol, Marcus. We need to make sure they didn't plant any tracking devices or biological agents." Marcus submitted to the examination, standing still as various sensors played across his body. The scanner detected the expected implants: neural interface ports for his targeting systems, muscle enhancement threads, and the standard military identification chips. Everything appeared normal. "You're clean," Dr. Vasquez announced. "No foreign objects, no unusual biological markers. Whatever they wanted from you, it wasn't technological." As the debriefing began, Marcus recounted his capture in detail. He described the hegemony assault on his position, the overwhelming force they had brought to bear, and the 47 casualties his capture had cost them. The human officers listened intently, taking notes on enemy tactics and equipment. "They asked me about our defensive positions around New Geneva," Marcus reported. "Wanted to know about the orbital minefields and the location of our command bunkers. I told them nothing." Admiral Stone nodded approvingly. "Their intelligence gathering has been getting more aggressive. Did they try any enhanced interrogation techniques?" "Standard intimidation mostly," Marcus replied. "They brought in different species to try psychological pressure. A telepath attempted to read my mind, but our mental conditioning held." He paused, considering. "There was something else, though. Near the end, they seemed almost eager to send me back, like they were looking forward to the exchange." The statement sent a chill through the room. Colonel Park leaned forward. "Eager how?" "Hard to explain. The guards started treating me better on the last day. Better food, medical attention for my wounds. One of them even seemed excited about something. He kept checking a chronometer like he was counting down to something." Dr. Vasquez frowned. "We should run more comprehensive tests if they were planning some kind of delayed action biological weapon." "Already considered," Admiral Stone interrupted. "But our scanners are the best humanity has developed. If there was something foreign in your system, we would have detected it." What none of them knew was that the pacification virus had been specifically designed to evade detection by human technology. The hegemony had captured human medical equipment during the war and reverse-engineered their scanning protocols. The virus existed in a quantum state during its dormancy period, phasing in and out of detectability in patterns that human sensors couldn't recognize. As the debriefing continued, Marcus felt increasingly restless. There was an energy building inside him, a familiar sensation he recognized from pre-combat situations. His enhanced reflexes were becoming more acute, his awareness sharpening to combat levels. After 3 days of captivity, his body was naturally returning to its peak operational state. "Sir," Lieutenant Commander Torres entered the briefing room with a data pad. "Priority message from the Kepler 442 garrison. The hegemony is massing forces for another assault on the mining colonies." Admiral Stone studied the intelligence report, her expression growing grim. "They're moving fast. Looks like they want to test our defenses while you were in captivity, Marcus. They probably think your capture has demoralized the Kepler Defense Force." Marcus stood, checking his chronometer. 68 hours had passed since his capture. The countdown in his head had been running since he woke up in the hegemony detention cell, though he couldn't explain why. Something was going to happen, and soon. "I want to return to Kepler 442, Marcus said firmly. "My team is still there, and they'll need support if the hegemony is planning a major offensive." "You've been through hell," Dr. Vasquez protested. "You need recovery time, medical observation." "Doctor, with respect, The Ghost has been holding that system almost single-handedly for 8 months, Colonel Park interjected. If he says he's ready to fight, I believe him. Admiral Stone considered the request. The strategic situation was desperate enough that they couldn't afford to bench their most effective operative for psychological counseling. Very well, but you take a full support team this time. No more lone wolf operations. As the meeting broke up, Marcus felt the strange energy in his system intensifying. His hands were steadier than they had been in months, his vision sharper, his reflexes quicker. Whatever the hegemony had done to him during captivity, it seemed to be enhancing his natural abilities rather than diminishing them. 12 hours later, Marcus and his support team arrived at the Kepler 442 system aboard a fast attack cruiser. The mining colonies hung in space around the system's twin suns, their industrial complexes extracting rare minerals essential to the human war effort. The sight of the orbital platforms filled Marcus with familiar determination. Captain Lisa Chen, no relation despite the shared surname, commanded the system's defense force. She greeted Marcus personally as he came aboard the command platform. Good to have you back, Ghost. The hegemony has been probing our defenses every day since your capture. They're definitely planning something big. Marcus reviewed the tactical situation with professional interest. The hegemony had positioned 3 battle fleets just outside the system's edge, clearly preparing for a coordinated assault. Intelligence suggested they would attack within the next 24 hours. Their pattern suggests they'll hit the outer mining stations first, Captain Chen explained, indicating the holographic display. Force us to spread our defensive fire, then punch through with their main fleet toward the primary colonies. As Marcus studied the enemy positions, something clicked in his mind. The hegemony formation wasn't optimized for maximum military effectiveness. Instead, it seemed designed to create maximum chaos and confusion. Almost as if they were expecting the human defenders to behave differently than usual. Captain, what if they're not planning a conventional assault? Marcus asked. Look at their positioning. They're spread out to maximize area coverage, not concentrated for breakthrough attacks. Captain Chen examined the display more carefully. You're right. It's almost like they expect our resistance to be weaker somehow. The observation triggered something in Marcus's enhanced awareness. The countdown in his head had reached single digits now. Whatever was supposed to happen would occur in the next few hours. He found himself checking his equipment compulsively, ensuring his rifle was perfectly calibrated and his targeting systems fully functional. At hour 71, Marcus was conducting a routine inspection of the perimeter defense stations when he felt it begin. A strange tingling sensation started in his fingertips and spread up his arms. His vision flickered for a moment, and he experienced a brief wave of disorientation. The pacification virus was emerging from dormancy. Dr. Vortex had designed the virus to be subtle in its initial manifestation. Rather than an immediate and obvious change, the transformation was supposed to be gradual. The subject would first experience a sense of calm, followed by a growing reluctance to engage in aggressive actions. Within hours, they would become completely incapable of violence. What Dr. Vortex had not accounted for was the nature of Marcus Chen's genetic modifications and training. The virus encountered a human nervous system that had been enhanced for combat operations, reinforced by years of mental conditioning, and currently operating at peak stress levels due to the impending battle. Instead of pacifying Marcus, the virus triggered an unexpected interaction with his enhanced neural pathways. The biological weapon that was supposed to eliminate his aggressive tendencies instead amplified them exponentially. The calm that Dr. Vortex had programmed became an ice-cold focus. The reluctance to engage in violence transformed into perfect tactical clarity. Marcus felt the change wash over him like a tide. His hands stopped shaking completely. His breathing became perfectly controlled. Every sound in the environment became crystal clear. From the hum of the station's life support systems to the distant conversations of the defense crews, he looked at his rifle with new eyes. The weapon that had been his tool for 3 years suddenly felt like an extension of his own body. Every component, every mechanism, every possible shot seemed to exist in his consciousness simultaneously. The virus was supposed to make him docile. Instead, it had accidentally created something the galaxy had never seen before: a perfect human weapon. "Ghost, you feeling all right?" Sergeant Williams approached with concern. "You look different somehow." Marcus turned to face his teammate, and Williams involuntarily stepped back. There was something in the sniper's eyes that hadn't been there before, a depth of focus that was almost predatory. "I feel better than I have in years," Marcus replied, his voice perfectly calm. "In fact, I think the hegemony might have just made the biggest mistake of their lives." As the countdown in his head reached 0, Marcus Chen began to understand what had been done to him. The hegemony had tried to turn him into a weapon against his own species. Instead, they had accidentally created humanity's perfect defender. The real war was about to begin. The hegemony assault on Kepler 442 began exactly as predicted, with overwhelming force designed to crush what they expected would be weakened human resistance. 3 massive battle fleets materialized at the system's edge, their combined firepower sufficient to reduce entire planets to rubble. Admiral Krax commanded the operation from his flagship, confident that the pacification virus would soon demonstrate its effectiveness. According to Dr. Vorthex's projections, the human sniper should have become completely non-violent approximately 6 hours ago. Any infection he spread to other humans would already be taking effect among the Defense Force leadership. "Begin the assault," Admiral Krax ordered. "Target the outer mining platforms first. Force them to spread their defensive fire." The hegemony ships opened fire with devastating precision. Plasma beams and quantum torpedoes streaked across space toward the human installations. It should have been a massacre. Instead, something unprecedented happened. Marcus Chen was positioned on the primary orbital platform, his enhanced rifle aimed at the incoming fleet. As the first hegemony shots fired, he felt time seem to slow around him. The virus had done something extraordinary to his perception. Every projectile became visible to his enhanced senses, every ship's movement pattern crystal clear. He squeezed the trigger. The hypersonic round crossed 3 million kilometers of space in 4.3 seconds. It struck the bridge of Admiral Krax's flagship with surgical precision, punching through shields that should have been impenetrable to small arms fire. The round had been modified with experimental human technology, but even the engineers who designed it hadn't expected it to perform like this. Admiral Krax died instantly, along with his entire command staff. "Impossible," breathed Commander Thex aboard the second flagship. "No human weapon has that range or penetrating power." Marcus was already lining up his second shot. The virus had enhanced more than just his focus. His targeting calculations now operated at superhuman levels, accounting for gravitational effects, stellar radiation pressure, and the complex orbital mechanics of the battle space. Information that should have required computer assistance flowed through his mind as naturally as breathing. The second round took out the primary communications array of the Hegemony Second Fleet. The third destroyed the tactical coordination hub of the Third Fleet. In less than 30 seconds, Marcus had decapitated the entire Hegemony command structure. "This is impossible," Captain Chen said, watching the tactical display in amazement. "Ghost, what did they do to you?" "They tried to make me harmless," Marcus replied, his voice perfectly calm as he chambered another round. "Instead, they made me perfect. The hegemony fleets, suddenly without centralized command, began to falter. Individual ship captains found themselves making tactical decisions they weren't prepared for. The carefully coordinated assault degenerated into a confused melee as ships tried to maintain formation without proper communication. Marcus continued firing with mechanical precision. Each shot eliminated critical components from hegemony vessels. A targeting computer here, a shield generator there, a weapons control center carefully removed with surgical accuracy. He wasn't trying to destroy the ships entirely. He was systematically dismantling their ability to fight effectively. "Sir, the Ghost has fired 17 shots," reported Lieutenant Torres from the tactical station. 17 hits on targets at maximum sensor range. I've never seen anything like it. Captain Chen activated the fleet communication system. "All units, the hegemony command structure has been neutralized. Begin coordinated counterattack. Focus on disabled vessels." The human defense fleet, emboldened by Marcus's impossible marksmanship, pressed their advantage. Ships that had been preparing for a desperate last stand instead found themselves hunting crippled hegemony vessels. The battle that should have been a massacre was turning into a rout. Aboard the surviving hegemony ships, panic was spreading. The alien crews had never encountered anything like this. Their technology was superior, their numbers overwhelming, but somehow a single human with a rifle was systematically destroying their fleet from impossible range. "Retreat!" ordered Captain Vorthak of the heavy cruiser Domination. "All ships, fall back to hyperspace jump distance." But Marcus wasn't finished. As the hegemony ships began their withdrawal, he switched targets to their engines. The virus-enhanced calculations allowed him to predict their movement patterns with perfect accuracy. Round after round found its mark, disabling hyperspace drives and leaving enemy vessels stranded. Within 2 hours, the entire hegemony assault force had been neutralized. 37 capital ships hung dead in space, their crews either captured or desperately signaling surrender. The mining colonies were completely unharmed. The news of the victory spread throughout human space within hours. The legendary Ghost had not only returned from captivity, but somehow become even more deadly than before. Morale, which had been dropping steadily during the war, suddenly soared to unprecedented levels. But the real implications were only beginning to be understood. Dr. Vasquez was the first to notice the anomalies in Marcus's post-battle medical scans. "Admiral Stone, I need to speak with you privately about the Ghost's condition." They met in the medical bay's secure conference room, away from the celebrations still raging throughout the station. "What did you find, Elena?" Admiral Stone asked. "Something that shouldn't be possible," Dr. Vasquez replied, activating a holographic display. "Look at these neural activity readings from Marcus's post-battle scan. His brain is operating at levels I've never seen in a human being." The display showed Marcus's neural pathways lit up like a Christmas tree. Areas responsible for spatial reasoning, threat assessment, and hand-eye coordination were showing activity levels that should have been fatal. "How is this possible?" Admiral Stone asked. "I think the hegemony tried to infect him with some kind of biological agent," Dr. Vasquez explained. "But instead of harming him, it's interacted with his existing enhancements in an unexpected way. His combat effectiveness has increased by approximately 3,000%. Admiral Stone stared at the readings in amazement. "Can you replicate this effect?" "I don't know. I'd need to understand exactly what they did to him first. And frankly, I'm not sure Marcus's nervous system can handle this level of enhancement long-term." Their conversation was interrupted by an emergency alert. "Admiral Stone to the command center immediately. Priority 1 communication from Earth Command." Admiral Stone found the command center buzzing with activity. On the main display, the stern face of General Martinez, Earth's supreme military commander, looked out at them. "Admiral Stone, I understand congratulations are in order. The Ghost's performance at Kepler 442 has sent shockwaves through our intelligence networks, but we've also intercepted some disturbing hegemony communications." A new display activated, showing translated alien text. This is from the Hegemony Medical Division, transmitted immediately after the battle. It appears they deliberately infected Marcus with something called a pacification virus during his captivity. Admiral Stone felt her blood run cold. "Sir, our medical scans showed no foreign biological agents. Because it was designed to be undetectable by our technology," General Martinez replied grimly. "The virus was supposed to make him completely nonviolent and spread that effect to anyone he came into contact with. Instead, it appears to have had the opposite effect." The implications were staggering. The hegemony had tried to turn humanity's greatest weapon into an agent of pacification. The fact that their plan had backfired so spectacularly would not go unnoticed by the Cosmic Council. "General, what are your orders?" Admiral Stone asked. "Study the effect. If we can understand how the virus interacted with Marcus's enhancements, we might be able to replicate it in other operatives. More importantly, we need to prepare for the hegemony's response. They just watched one human destroy an entire battle fleet. They're not going to take this lying down." As if summoned by the conversation, Marcus appeared in the command center. The change in his bearing was subtle, but unmistakable. He moved with fluid precision, every gesture economical and purposeful. His eyes swept the room, cataloging threats and defensive positions with unconscious efficiency. "Admiral, I've been reviewing the tactical data from the engagement," Marcus said. "The hegemony's response patterns suggest they were expecting different behavior from our forces, almost as if they thought we would be less aggressive than usual." "They were counting on the virus working," Admiral Stone replied. "Marcus, we need to discuss what they did to you during captivity." Marcus considered this for a moment. "Whatever they tried to do, it backfired. I feel more focused than I ever have, more capable. Every shot I take feels inevitable." Dr. Vasquez stepped forward. "Marcus, I need you to understand that your neural activity is currently operating at dangerous levels. We don't know what the long-term effects might be." "Doctor, with respect, the long-term effects matter less than winning this war," Marcus replied. "If the hegemony has biological weapons this sophisticated, we need every advantage we can get." As they spoke, similar conversations were taking place throughout the galaxy. The Cosmic Council had reconvened in emergency session, trying to understand how their perfect biological weapon had created the opposite of its intended effect. The virus was designed specifically for human neural pathways, Dr. Vortex protested to the assembly. "Every simulation showed complete pacification within 72 hours. High Chancellor Vexitar's reptilian features were twisted with rage. "Your simulations did not account for the possibility of the virus enhancing their combat abilities. This human has become more dangerous than before." "Impossible," Dr. Vortex insisted. "The virus eliminates aggressive tendencies. It cannot create them." "Then explain how one human operative destroyed an entire battle fleet," Vextar roared. "Explain how he achieved impossible accuracy at impossible range." The truth was beginning to dawn on the assembled delegates. Humanity was not like other species they had conquered. Where other races became weaker under pressure, humans seemed to become stronger. Where other species would surrender when faced with biological warfare, humans would adapt and turn the weapons against their creators. "We have created our own doom," whispered Elder Morthak. "We sought to make them harmless, and instead, we have made them unstoppable." Back on Sanctuary Prime, Marcus stood at the observation deck looking out at the stars. The virus continued its work in his system, enhancing capabilities he had never known he possessed. He could feel the war changing, sense the shift in momentum as word of the Kepler 442 victory spread. The Cosmic Council had intended to break humanity's spirit by turning their greatest warrior against them. Instead, they had given him the tools to become something unprecedented in galactic history, a perfect fusion of human determination and alien enhancement. Tomorrow, he would return to the battlefield. But this time, he wouldn't be fighting alone. Dr. Vasquez and her team were already working to understand the virus's effects, hoping to replicate them in other human operatives. The hegemony had meant to end the war with a single biological weapon. Instead, they had just given humanity the key to winning it. Marcus smiled as he watched the stars. The Cosmic Council was about to learn why humans had a saying, "That which does not kill us makes us stronger." And they had just made humanity very, very strong indeed.